Hello everyone, I just wanted to make a quick video to kind of showcase a build that I'm kind of working on a little bit here in Path of Exile 2, which just came out in early access. It's obviously still rough around the edges, everyone's still trying to figure things out with the game, but I'm having a lot of fun with this and I'm hoping you guys can too. So what we're using primarily to do our damage here is Lightning Rod, and we're using a little bit of a mix here. So for my secondary weapon, I have a wand, and the reason for that is we are also using Orb of Storms. And the reason we're using Orb of Storms is it creates an orb of electricity that fires chain lightning, and it does this every time that we use a nearby lightning skill. And so the way lightning rods work is normally you would use something like lightning arrow to set them off. You see how they're kind of sparking whenever I shoot a lightning arrow nearby as the lightning beams bounce between them? Well, watch what happens when I cast an Orb of Storms on top of it and I start casting lightning spells. They're going off a whole heck of a lot faster. So, by using Orb of Storms, we can really amp up how quickly we're doing our damage with this. So, let me just quickly go down what I've got for spells here. So we have Lightning Rod, and on this I have Scatter Shot so that we fire an extra set of arrows there. I have Primal Armament to do 25% more elemental damage, and then I also have Lightning Penetration on this. I'm not sure if these are the best gems for it, but this is what I have on there currently, so feel free to experiment. Then on Lightning Arrow, I have Fork for forking projectiles. You could also use Penetration here, or Pierce I think it's called. I have Electrocute so that, let me show you right here. I can electrocute mobs to stop them in place. And that's also going to give us a damage boost, which I'll show you on the tree. And then I also have Electrocute Primed, which basically just means Electrocute's going to trigger faster whenever we're about to trigger it. On Orb of Storms, I have Overabundance so that I can cast 2 orbs. And the reason for that is they can both trigger at the same time to trigger our lightning rods even faster. We have Persistence so that they last longer. And then I have Chain so that they spit out just 1 extra chain whenever they shoot off. Then we have Stormcaller Arrow, and we're using this to set shock on enemies. And let me show you real quickly what that looks like. So you see how their bodies are electrified right now? That's being caused by shock, so that's how you can tell it triggered on them. And it has a really high chance of triggering shock, so that's why we're using the Stormcaller Arrow to do this. So I have Lightning Exposure so that anytime we trigger shock using this skill, it's going to expose enemies to lightning, which is going to make them take more damage from lightning. We have Coursing Current, which is going to spread the shock to nearby enemies. And then we have Overcharge, which is going to increase how strong that shock is so that it does more damage. I have Magnetic Salvo here, just kind of an extra skill that we can cast from afar. If for some reason we have a bunch of lightning rods that aren't being triggered by our storm or something and we want to use Salvo real quickly on them, you can see it jumps over there and triggers on all of those. So maybe when the boss is stunned or something, you can get away with triggering that. I don't use it too often anymore, but it is there. So we have Inevitable Critical, Super Critical, and Hourglass, and that's just going to help boost as much damage as we can on this. I tend to use this once or twice during a boss fight if I can. If my orb hasn't eaten up all my lightning rods. I also have Voltaic Mark, and this is just going to help us shock an enemy, because while they're marked by this, you can see there's a 50% more chance to shock them. And it's going to also blow up to kind of do some AoE. So on this I have Excise to help critically hit, and Concentrated Effect to spread out the damage a little bit more. We have Conductivity as well, and that's just going to curse enemies so that they take more damage from lightning. I have Wind Dancer as an aura to help me with a little bit of survivability, and on that I have Blind and Maim. And then I have Herald of Thunder with Lightning Infusion and Clarity to help me with mana regen. Real quickly, I'll show you my tree here. Obviously, like I said, I'm still working through this, so none of this is final. I'm sure there's a lot of ways to improve this. I worked down the invasion part of the tree here until we get to this split here. I grab some more evasion down here to help with survivability some. I come up here and grab Surging Currents to help with lightning resistance on enemies. We grab the Harness of the Elements. We work up here to grab Harmonic Generator. and General Electric, which is going to help with our shocks. And then I work on over here to grab the Unbound Forces and the Storm Surge, which again is going to help with lightning penetration and shock. Then down here, we work all the way down to the end of the board, and then we come up to Electrocution. So whenever an enemy is electrocuted, it'll take extra damage. Since we're using Herald of Lightning, or Herald of Thunder, I grab the Combing Clarity so that we do extra lightning damage with it active. I'm working up to Enhanced Reflexes here. One thing this build kind of suffers from right now is survivability. We kind of can get blown up a little bit fast, but hey, that's a Ranger build, right? So I also work down here, grab Catalysts. We grab Exploit to help with, once again, our shock damage pretty much. Then we work down here and we grab Flash Storm to lightning penetration, and also we're grabbing Lightning Rod, and the way that works is basically your lightning skills will get kind of read twice, and whichever one does higher damage, it's going to choose that one. So that's going to help with damage a little bit, just to kind of showcase how I play this against mobs. So you can see with our lightning arrow here, we can electrocute mobs to hold them in place. So this is useful for mobs that might jump at you or something like these guys do. Then we're going to use our Stormcaller arrow to try and trigger shock on enemies. So what I'll usually do is I'll lead with Lightning Arrow and Stormcaller arrow when I find mobs. So here right away, do some Stormcallers. You see I triggered shock on these guys because they have that lightning effect going around them. And if there's a big mob in there, what I'll do is I'll cast Voltaic Mark on something so that it does that AoE burst. And then, let me find a mob grouping here. So we'll do our casts. I'll cast an orb down, and then I'll start calling down some lightning rods. I'll cast my other orb, and we'll just kind of keep working and cycling through all of our skills like that. So here, for instance, here's a yellow mob. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. I could have done that better. But you see there, we tied him up with our electrocution, so he couldn't really move around much, and we just kind of burst him down pretty quickly. So that's kind of how the build plays out. I'll show you guys how I kill a boss, maybe, and I'll show a couple more mob pack kills here. Obviously, feel free to change anything where you see necessary. I'm just kind of having a lot of fun. I really like casting the orb of storms and watching it trigger all the lightning rods off and just doing massive amounts of damage when those are triggered. So I'm hoping this will evolve into a really cool endgame build. We'll see if it holds up. Alright, so I'm pretty sure the big monkey is right here. So just to kind of guide you guys how I play through the skill set here is what I'll try to do is do Voltaic Mark on them right away. I'll hit them with some of the Thunderstruck or the Stormcaller arrow so that we can get shock effect on them. And at the same time, I'll also switch and shoot a couple of lightning arrows at them so that we can start working towards getting them electrocuted. And then after I kind of got those going, I'll quickly lay down my 2 orbs. I'll start spamming my lightning rods here. Every once in a while, I'll recast my orbs because they only last, 7 or 8 seconds. And then I'll just keep switching between all the different arrows that I was shooting. So I'll still keep shooting some lightning arrows every once in a while. I'll shoot some Stormcaller arrows to keep the shock and all of that going. I'll throw in a Conductivity every once in a while to get a debuff on them. And then if I see a good opportunity, I might drop down a Magnetic Salvo when the boss is stunned or something if I have a bunch of lightning rods down. But usually the storms eat up through the lightning rods pretty quick. So that's kind of a case-by-case basis. So let's see if the monkey's right here. Okay, here he is. All right, so let's do this.
Take this.
So you can see how quickly you can burn through his life bar if you upkeep your orbs going while you have all the ailments going on him there. And I had some downtime there. I could have killed him faster if I was better on my buttons, and I didn't even use Conductivity in that fight. So that's how you take down a boss with this build.